Happy spring. What's
Happy spring.
spring like anymore?
Well, it's kind of like, winter is holding on fast and furious.
Well, hopefully.
First of
I've
all, hi,
been
good
to the auto
evening,
show.
Vinny.
I've taken the little girls, my lady friends, two twin girls, to the auto show. They're 7 years old. Last time I took them when they were 4, they loved it. They got behind the wheel. They made believe they were driving. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And
My son went to the car show the other day
hey, Mike
with
Spain,
my
how are you?
brother and his girlfriend. They had a good time. So,
Yeah.
hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, Vinny. Good evening to Anthony in the shadows. Make all of this happen every single week. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. So, tonight's topic is our fascination with the mob and the mafia in movies and film and books.
Well, the thing about The Godfather, the only movie that the sequel won Academy Award after the first one. No other movie has done that. Won two
Correct.
back to back. And the Goodfellas and all these mob movies, they do very well. People are fascinated by it. Now, here's the funny thing: they're fascinated, but they don't want to live next to somebody that's a mobster. But they love it. They get excited about
But
it. And
no, that's not true because if you speak to the people on Howard Beach, they loved it when
I
John
lived in
Gotti went
Howard
there.
for 5 years. I lived
Right.
down the block from John Gotti. I never saw him once because I was always working. I wasn't, I left early in the morning and I came back late at night from work. Uh, and matter of fact, I got some work from some of his guys, so I can't complain. They're
But,
always in
every,
trouble. Mob
but
guys
everybody
are always
always
in trouble.
right. But
And they
everybody always said the neighborhood is safer.
now, besides hiring a lawyer, they hire a private eye, and it's always the same thing. The feds always got something good on. Otherwise, they wouldn't even, they won't even prosecute unless they got something good. So they hire me or another private eye, and they say, okay, we want you to find out about the rat. Then we find out about the rat, and the rat on Discovery, you're going to find out anything about the rat anyway. And then they want extra dirt. They want to find out if there's anything else. Normally, a rat is also an ex-mobster who got caught, and he says, "Okay, you got me. How can I make a deal? Let's make a deal. I will cooperate." And that's the story. I worked on a couple. I don't know if I should mention their names. Nah, yeah. Hey, no, I
Hey, oh,
John Allied. He's got a podcast, and he's a reform gangster. He's very popular. I met him with Nick Christopher. Introduced me to him. A charming guy. So I told him, I said, I was investigating you for shooting somebody. And you remember Charles Camaglia, whatever the guy's name was. He goes, I shot so many people, I can't remember them all. That's the mentality of these people. And then I had the one with uh, the Genovese. They arrested 46 guys in a restaurant that we go to all the time, and we were at a funeral for one of the guys. The guy died. We were at the funeral, and my daughter calls me up and says, "Oh boy, they arrested 46 guys in Rigoletto's on Hunter Avenue." Oh shit! And I tracked down the rat. I got the rat, but I couldn't. We couldn't. You can't do anything to these people. It's not like years ago. If you catch a rat, you kill them. You can't do that because they're watching him. So you have guys that became rats that are walking around the streets. Nobody bothered them.
they're very well protected.
Well, they'll catch you killing them. I mean, they don't kill anybody anymore. Oh well, I shouldn't say that. They do kill people. Like the guy killed this girl, the woman in Forest Hills, stabbed her 60 times, and they're looking for. I had said it from the beginning. I said it was an old a lover that was obsessed with her, and
Right.
the rumor is that that's what happened. And the guy was a handyman who was very handy with a knife, to say the least.
Well, he was handy with a lot of tools, but he also knew the whole inside and outside of the house. He had been in
Okay,
there many times. He knew where the spare key was.
yeah,
Her husband and her son were away,
they
but
arrested him.
sadly, the other son was upstairs in the house.
Did they arrest the guy yet?
I'm not
Right
sure.
now, he's a person of interest. I don't think he's a suspect yet, but they're very interested in him.
Right. Well, there was that
But
shadowy
he
figure.
dragged the body 5 blocks, leave a trail of blood. I mean, he must have really lost his mind, you know. What are you gonna do?
Well, he was only but Vinny, he was the handyman, not the housekeeper. If he was the housekeeper, he probably would have done a little bit of a better job.
That's cold, but it's funny.
Too soon? Is it too soon to make a joke like that?
Are you a comedian? Oh, by the way, I'm going to be doing comedy May 29th at the Cutting Room. Now that's a couple steps up from the places I've been before. I'm not saying anything bad about the Broadway comedy, the Greenwich Village comedy, New York comedy. I've been to all those places, and they were all nice. But this is, hey, come on, hey, what's the next step? Caroline's? I mean, come on, you know.
I don't know. Well, here I'm appearing. That's me on Wednesday night, May 25.
The guy behind you looks like a caveman with no hair.
That's Ralph Burrito.
That's
Ralph Burrito is the host and the MC.
He has to be funny with a look like that. He's got to be hilarious.
I am the headliner at doing comedy at the Cave in Brooklyn on McDonald Avenue by Avenue Y. $20 a person. Please come. It's May 25, and the information is up on all my social media.
5th is what, a Saturday?
May 25. It's a Wednesday.
Okay, I'm going to be in Boston. My nephew is graduating Boston College on the 23rd. I might be back on the 20th. I'm going to drive him back.
Yes, you have to come. You have to come.
And where is it? In Brooklyn?
Yes, it's in Brooklyn. It's on McDonald Avenue.
Oh, I know.
Avenue Y. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to bring in our guest this evening, author and publisher of Mob Candy Magazine. Please welcome Frank DiMatteo.
Also known as Frank DiMatteo.
Hello. How are you guys?
Hi,
Vinny. Hi, Pam.
Hi, how are you, Frank? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell us about yourself.
Where do you want me to start?
Start from the beginning.
When you were 5 years old, if you remember that far back. It was a long time ago.
What got you into? I mean, I read your bio, and of course, I've spoken to you a number of times over cappuccino in the cafe, and we have so many people in common that I've known, the names that I brought up of organized crime figures from various families. But what got you interested in publishing Mob Candy Magazine? I mean, it had to come from someplace. Was there a fascination of yours with the 5 families, organized crime, La Cosa Nostra, the syndicate?
No. What happened was I was always into publishing. I published porno magazines for many years. And before that, we were in the distributing business.
Right.
We've been in the distributing business since 1970 with School Magazine. We were the sole distributors for 35 years.
I remember that magazine. It sold all over the newsstands in New York City.
Yeah, we were sold distributors.
I bought it every week.
That's it. That's why we stood in business.
Just because of Vinny.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
I was on a big case. We had to go undercover to a hula house for about 2 months. And what they did was they advertised the place in Screw Magazine.
Uh-huh.
So in court, they asked me, I had to produce a Screw Magazine as evidence. The judge pulled it all up, and the centerfold has a girl giving a guy oral.
Sure.
And the judge opened it, the whole courtroom went wild. They thought,
yeah, that was good.
But they said you can't bring it in as evidence. The judge said, yes, you can, because it's a continuing. It wasn't just the one time. There was continuing advertising.
Yeah, cool.
We had a very interesting.
We were good for something.
Oh yeah, I testified a day and a half on the stand.
Really?
Really.
Well, I believe it.
I know everybody loved it because I had to tell them my experience in the place.
Well, listen, it worked for a lot of different things. It worked for us. It made us some money.
Yeah, well, listen.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we were distributed for many years, and for distributing, I learned how to publish. I went into the publishing business. I published magazines that were pornographic, and then I retired from it. And that was we made adult films for a while. I own 116 adult films that we filmed. So right after that, then I pretty much did nothing, and I was just enjoying myself for a little while. And I was at a bar in Manhattan called Sushi Sambas. They closed now. and this guy came over to me and my wife, and he said to me that he said, he said, you look like a gangster. And I said, okay, so I look like a gangster, so what? He goes, well, I do a clothing line that's gangster. I said, that's cool, very nice. He goes, maybe you can help me. I said, I'll help you. Okay. What do you want me to do for you? He goes, I need some, connections and stuff like that. I says, well, I don't know. I'm not into that, but I'll see what I can do. So he gave me all the information. I ran back to my friends and they told me, stay out of it. Fashion business is too hard, very expensive to be in. So I went up to his office the next week and I said to him that I couldn't help him. And he turned around and said, but I got another idea. He goes, why don't we do a magazine called Mob Candy? It was a clothing line first. I said, whatever you want to do, but I can't say nothing because at the time I said, I can't say nothing. So I don't know what I could possibly do. He goes, don't worry about it. He goes, I know what to do. So about 2-3 weeks later, he says, but you need the money. You have the money. I said, I got the money to do the printing and everything and lay out designs. Everything. He goes, okay, I'll come up with a design. So he met me about a week later on Court Street, and he had pieces of paper with clips on it with stories and ads. So I looked at it and I said, what is this? And he said to me that this is the book. I said, that's what we're using? He goes, no, this is the idea. I said, no, I can't see that. I'm not a visionary like that. I said, go do it. Put it together, the stories and use the pictures like that. You don't have to do many. So I can really see what it looks like. He said, oh, okay. So he went back. About 2 weeks later, he came with about 10 pages of what it's going to look like. And then he says, this is the visual of it. Now I need your help. I said, what do you want? He said, I want to sit down and talk to you. We'll have a couple of drinks and let's just go over stories. And I'll try to pull something out of you, about something. And what we did was on napkins for about a month, we drank. He took notes on a napkin. And in the first magazine, he went back and he grabbed out of there ideas about fashion. We talked about fashion. We talked about drinking. We talked about wine. And we talked about some wise guy stuff and who I knew or who I didn't know. And then he pulled that out. He was very creative, and he came in with something. And it looked real good. And I went and we put 100 pages together, and I printed the first magazine. And what happened was that the Italian American Association found about it, and they did a rally on City Hall. It didn't come out yet. And I came out a week later, and we sold out the first edition. I sold like 50,000 copies. And they really put us on the map because they protested us before we even came out. So, and that's how we started. So it was me and his guy's name was Tyrone Christopher. He was a black guy. He was really creative, and we just sat and dreamed the stuff up. And he just kept on asking me questions, and he put the magazine together that way, and that's how that started.
But you have featured various mobsters in the magazine. I saw one had John Gotti in there once.
We did stories about
gangsters
and whatever we did. We did Brooklyn edition. We took Brooklyn gangsters. Chicago. We did Capone and all those guys. We did Vegas. We did the Vegas crew. We did L.A., Hollywood. So we took the whoever's in that town we were featuring or that state. We did try to do stories about them, and that's what we did. We did a homework on that.
Frank, did you actually have to have the opportunity to speak to any of these mob figures, or was this all just based on stories that you heard on the street or what you read off police blotters?
Most of the magazine stories was just historical and a lot of work put together. When I do the magazine, I didn't do my books yet. I wasn't into writing and nothing like that. At that time, I was just financing everything. I owned it, financed it. I didn't write anything in it. I should do an editor's page and just rant about something, curse about something. That was it. So I didn't put too much input in as far as writing and that. So everything there pretty much was, all the writers and everybody doing their homework and getting all the information on these guys. We would set what we wanted as far as, we wanted all the guys out of L.A., they would go do their homework at guys at L.A. If I knew somebody, I would throw something in. But most of the time, in the first beginning of the magazine, I wasn't writing nothing. So that was basically all doing homework and stuff like that.
What did you believe to be the fascination with everyone, even until now? After all these major movies came out, from The Godfather Part 1 and Part 2, Goodfellas, and now you have all the spin-offs. Just recently, the Saints of Newark, The Sopranos was a hit series, and even now you have other TV shows and spin-offs. What is the fascination that you believe that people have with the mafia and the mob?
Well, this ain't new. This has been around forever, well before our time.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff started in the 20s with the gangster movies and gangsters being involved and becoming celebrities, and there was always a fascination about those guys. The way they carried themselves, the way where they looked, the money they had, and people looked up to that in those days of these guys. It started in the 20s, and it's still not. It's still there now. I don't see it right now, but it's still there. When I grew up, it was, I was, with the Gallos on President Street when I grew up.
So you grew up in Brooklyn?
I'm in Brooklyn with the Gallos on President Street. I'm from Red Hook. And my father happened to be a bodyguard for Larry Gallo. That's how how I got involved. But anyway, just growing up in that lifestyle, if you're known to be with somebody or known to be somebody, you get a lot of perks, man. Everybody does. I got perked up the gazoo. Girls like you. If you carry yourself well and you dress well and you're involved, you got to pick a litter. You do really well. On the outside, to other people, it looks really glamorous and stuff like that. But to get to that point, it takes hard work and a big pair of cojones. But it's always been. I've seen girls, strange girls, in the middle of bars, stare all night at guys, and as people left, they moved down the line. I mean, I've seen it all, man. So I've seen guys come up and ask for autographs. I've seen other guys come in and be nasty because they were just stupid and want to get hurt, because people are crazy, and they go by looks, Sometimes you can tell what the guy looks like, or from how they carry themselves. So I just think that the entertainment business got more popular. You got more outlets to everybody to see everything. It was always there. There's nothing new. It was always there. You just found a way how to make more people see it. Right. So you guys did. That's what I believe that.
Well, I grew up on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, Little Italy in the Bronx.
Yeah.
And you grow up next door to gangsters, and you respected them. You idolized them. There's always a couple guys on the block that were very handsome, had a lot of money, beautiful cars, beautiful women. Sure. And then a couple of years later, you find out they got shot to death. They did something wrong. And you say, wait a minute, I don't know if I really want to grow up like that. And then, the thing is who you're with. You have an argument with somebody and you say who you're with. And if you say the right name, they leave you, oh, I'm sorry. You're with that guy. Okay, you're okay. So there's a certain allure to the mobsters. It's very strange how people gravitate towards them, yet they don't really want to live with them. For example, sometimes I do background checks for people, clubs, for like a special club, and they want to know if the guy has any criminal activities. They won't let him in the club. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of good and bad to it. But you noticed, Frank, none of the people that are in the rackets live to be too old. They don't live old. Very few of them.
Very few. A lot of the old timers lived old. A lot of those guys, but
look at Sonny Franzese. He just passed away, and he was one of the oldest living mobsters.
Well,
I hung out. He was a client of mine, and I with him, you have to hang out with him because he's like, come on, Vinny, you gotta come. He's like, Frank, you know him.
Yes.
You gotta, he calls you, you gotta come, right? And the interesting guy, a lot of fun. And every time I went out with him, there was an FBI agent there.
Always.
Always.
Yeah. Always.
So I said, "Oh, I'm safe."
Yeah. No, Sonny was a rare individual. He was
Very, people don't know about him.
no.
I was supposed to go on the Roger Stone show and talk about him because I knew him. I knew him well, but not as well as some other people. But I knew enough about him. And he opened businesses. He had a number of businesses.
Sure.
He started the rap music. He got involved with one of the first rap black owned. Well, he owned it, but it was considered black owned. He was involved in the movie industry tremendously.
He had his hand in everything. He had the old San Susan. He had his hands in that. It was a nightclub in Long Island. He had his hands in everything they could. But
it was a downfall. He went out with Jackie Kennedy before she married Robert John F. Kennedy. He went out with her because women love gangsters. They loved going out with a gangster. And he was a handsome guy, tough guy, well known. Unbelievable amount of women he went out with, all in Hollywood. And he gave a lot of people their start. There's a rumor that he actually got Ronald Reagan his first television job when he did the Borax 50 years that he did Death Valley Days, I think it was. It was called the cowboy movie.
Yeah. I don't know if he did.
He got him that part.
Could be.
I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a good story. Anyway,
it's a great story. But Sonny has hands into everything, man.
Interesting guy. I like being with him. The only thing, he never put his hands in his pocket. Whoever went out with him had to pick up the tab.
Yeah. He was Sonny.
Expression, crime doesn't pay.
Yeah.
That's true with him.
His son was like that too, because I knew Michael well too. We used to hang out in Brooklyn together for one summer. We spent together many years ago in what was it? What section? Georgetown. We used to hang out at the Georgetown Inn in Brooklyn, and I spent the summer there with them. And I got to know Sonny a little better, and Michael, and because we were doing business at the time. And he commanded a lot of respect, Sonny. And he had the motions, and he walked the walk and talked the talk. So,
but the feds were after him. They
always after him. He was always in trouble.
They entrapped him in that bank robbery. Had nothing to do with it, but they framed him for that.
I don't believe nobody has nothing to do with it, because I'm arrested 11 times, and I always said I wasn't guilty. So was he or wasn't he? I don't know. I don't believe you had nothing to do with it.
The first time I met him, he said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm a private investigator." "Oh, you're the only guy I could talk to without getting violated," because he got violated all the time. He's always on parole.
Always on parole.
He goes to me, "Do me a favor, check me out." He gives me his name is John. His real name is John Francesi, not Sonny is a nickname.
Right.
I spoke to a couple of my cop friends. Right off the bat, they said, "Oh, he got framed." Everybody knows he got framed. Part of the reason he got framed I was told, is because the feds were after him because of Jack Kennedy. They didn't like that he was banging the wife.
I didn't know that.
Even though he was previous to marrying a guy. I don't know. There's a lot of things, and then it's a feather in their cap that they got a big mobster.
Sure. Sure. I mean, guys get framed all the time, but if they got caught for what they did for real, they would have gotten in trouble anyway. So
Yeah.
Right. All right. So he got framed for that, but the 20 bodies, it's okay.
20? How about 43?
40, 60.
80. You lose count after a certain number.
I got to tell you, one of my dear friends was in jail with him. We went to visit him, and Sonny didn't go to the visiting room, but my friend, another mobster, he went over to me and said, "Listen, Sonny, how many people? Can I ask you, how many people did you kill?" Because I really don't know. He said 40, 50. He says, I don't know, probably more. He was the Mad Hatter. I mean, the guy was a Mad Hatter. He
did a lot of work.
By the way, he was so loyal to Colombo. When Colombo got shot, Sonny was in jail. But if Sonny was out, he would have whacked so many people that And we all know who started that war with Colombo was Gallo, Joey Gallo.
See, I don't believe that. So I don't believe that either.
No, so he got killed for that.
He got killed for it. Yeah. Well, he would have got killed anyway. Because
Well, he went against. Yeah.
Because he went against him. That's why. I mean, when he was feuding with Colombo since the day he got out of jail. So that was ruined anyway. But did he shoot him? My true feelings is that Carlos set that up, Gambino. That's
Really?
Yeah, I believe that. I fully believe that with Scarpa and those guys. That's my.
Was there a reason for that? Was there like problems going on with the various families?
If you take Joey Gallo out of the equation, Joe Colombo was having a very, very hard time with Carlo Gambino because of him being a limelight. Carlo told him many times to step back and don't be the front face of that league. And Joe kept on not listening, and the old man was really getting pissed off. So it was going to happen, and that's why we believe they Scarpa and those guys and Junior used the black guy as an excuse to throw the heat on Joey. You know what I mean? Listen, I tell you one thing too. When I was on the block when Joey got killed, when Joe Colombo got shot, and I'm sitting with the underboss, Albert Gallo was acting boss of that family, and I was sitting with Louis the Syrian and Frank Iliano, and not one of them, when I was going out to drink that day, during the day or that night before, not one told me to watch my ass. They used to tell me watch my ass to go drinking down the block in case there was some stupid guys that we want to get along with. You're gonna murder Joe Colombo in the afternoon, and you're gonna make my father's your bodyguard, and you're gonna make me walk around like a jerk. It doesn't work that way. We would have, as a younger kids, we would have got a whiff of it. They would have told us because we were privy, because we're younger guys. They would have told us, stay on the block. You can't go off the block. That's what they had to tell us. They didn't have to tell us why or the big hits coming, but they would have told us. I lived on Pleasant Street 6 years through 2 wars. On record, you can go anywhere and look at it on paperwork. They leave the block for 4 years. You're going to go kill a guy, you're going to kill a boss of the family and not tell none of us. We're just going to walk around like schmucks. No, it doesn't happen that way. So that's why we tend to believe that it came out of the, Scarpa and those guys and Carmine from Carlo Gambino. Gambino was really, really pissed at Joe Colombo. They take Joey out of the Gallo out of the incursion, out of it, and it was still a big beef going on. So you got to really think about that. Yeah, really think.
Frank, are there still 5 families running New York, or has that died down?
Yeah, everybody's still there. Everybody's got a piece of something.
It's much smaller now.
They're smaller. Everybody's in trouble. Who's running? A lot of the old guys in jail. In fact, what's his name died today? Andrew Mush died today. Andy Russo died today. He was the acting boss of the Colombos. He passed away today.
Well, a lot of the higher ups in the Colombos are in jail now because they try to take over a union.
He was a street boss. He's dead. So they're really in trouble. But they're still there. Every time there's money to be made, you're gonna have a hooligan there, and there's gonna be somebody coming behind them. Maybe they're not as good. Maybe they're not as famous. Maybe they're not as pretty. But they're there. Anytime there's money, it's gonna keep on going and going and going. And that's what these 5 families do. One guy goes to jail, and they leave somebody in charge. And to keep whatever they got going. There's still a lot of things going. Drugs are still very lucrative, and there's a lot
of money to be made.
Bookmaking, shylocking, there's union stuff.
But marijuana is now legal. Are they still involved with that?
It's legal, but there's loopholes there too.
Mm-hmm.
You're only allowed to buy 2 ounces or something like that. I know guys smoke 5 ounces. What do you do then? You got to go buy in the street. Right. I also heard that there's different quality. That the ones you buy is not going to be the quality is not going to be as high or as as you get in the street.
Frank, we have to take a station break right now. We have a couple of sponsors, and we'd like to keep us going. We have to. So, who's the first sponsor? We're going to have Pam does the first one. I do the second.
Right, and I also want to talk about your book.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, our first sponsor tonight is thank you very much to Mark Turner Insurance for your Medicare and Medicaid Resource Center. You can find Mark Turner Insurance at 36 Richmond Terrace, Suite 114, Staten Island, New York. Call him at 718-873-1292. Our next sponsor is Cash for Cars. They make it fast and easy. Cash for Cars of Staten Island. They buy any cars and trucks of any condition. 917-238-1640. www.cashforautosny.com. Keep sponsoring Law and Disorder. We thank all our sponsors. Keep us moving, keep us grooving, keep us growing. And thank you to our Tuso Pastries in the Bronx since 1946. I'm told that their pastries are fresh. They're still not the same one since 1946. And I'm still waiting for their
Asked me to bring the cannoli. When am I going to put the cannolis in the television screen?
Invite me out for lunch. We'll
Okay,
have
you know
cannoli together.
We should do a podcast from one of the restaurants one night. They would love it. They would love it.
Sure. We'll have a sit down.
By the way, before you came on, Frank, she's my partner, but before I was by myself, and the girls asked me to do it in her restaurant, Spanish or Colombian, I don't know what kind of restaurant it was. Good food, and it was horrible. I tried to do it in the restaurant, and they didn't have all the computers there. They didn't have set up. It was crazy.
So I put it live like that in locations.
I told her 5 times, make sure you have a computer person, have a laptop, have it set up. Make sure you have Google Chrome, all that, everything.
Yeah. Well, you guys speak English.
But I ate good food. I had a good dinner.
It was delicious.
Yeah, it was good.
So Frank, we brought you on tonight because, of course, after I didn't even realize when I had spoken to you a couple of times over at the cafe here in Brooklyn that you knew, or that you know Vinny, and so in all the talking that you and I did, of course, with hello Michael De Blasio from Canarsie.
Oh yeah.
So from all the speaking that you and I did, with all the names that you and I were dropping back and forth between the old time attorneys and Murray Cutler, Bruce Cutler, John Gotti, who was it? That was Nicky D'Amico, all those guys. Right. Of course, as we know, a lot of them are, John Gotti's dead. Nicky.
Most of the people we know are dead.
Yeah.
They're very old.
No, actually nothing. Was it Jackie? Jackie D'Amico. Was in jail from
he's still in life, I think, now too.
I think he's still up. He was down there with the feds, but I know that building's closed now, so I don't really know where they moved him to.
Yeah, but I think he's doing a long time.
So of course all these guys are locked up, and so I know you've written a number of books. Right. So what is the first book, aside from Mob Candy Magazine? What is the first book that you wrote? And how many books have you written, all mob related? And I know, this is the newest one. So the new one that's up there.
That's my first one. Not my newest. That's the first one.
Lion in the Basement.
Lion in the Basement. It sounds like Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Lion in the Basement, Growing Up in the Gallo Crime Family. Yes. By Frank DiMatteo. And I know I do want to buy the book. So when I see you next time at the cafe and over cappuccino, I want you to sign it for me. Okay. So please tell us what it's all about.
Well,
and where did you get the title from?
My wife did the title because when I was a kid, we were with the Gallos. So when I was a kid, I grew up with Larry Gallo, Albert Gallo, Joey Gallo, and all those guys. They were uncles to me. My father in 1960 became Larry Gallo's bodyguard for 8 years. So these are the people you mingle with, that you're there every day with.
Right. Then they're in your house. You're in their house.
Exactly. We don't know any about other people. And then you get to like a Poncigliano and then the Armando the Midget. I used to go down the block, President Street, and Armando used to greet me. I tell him the story that it was funny when I was a little kid that I was bigger than, as a little kid, I was bigger than this man because he was a little midget,
Is that the man that's on the cover of the book?
That's Armando Iliano. He's the one that took care of the lion. Well, it's not a lion. It was some kind of...
was it a tiger?
I don't know what it is, but it got big. So when I was a kid, Larry and Joey Gallo wanted a pet, and I tell the story that somebody in New York, I think Georgie Agenta, had a place in New York, and they sent him a monkey, and Mondo was taking care of the monkey. And what happens is that the monkey was throwing shit all around. Joey Gallo come in one day and he threw shit. Joey wanted to shoot the monkey. And they stopped him from shooting the monkey, but he wanted out of here now. So they called Georgie Agenda, came picked it up. But a week later, Georgie said that he had a lion, Little Lion Club. So Joey said, yeah, we want it. And Larry and Joey went to New York, and he put this cub between them, and they drove back to New York and back to Brooklyn, and they gave it to Armando. And Armando took care of it and, fed it and walked it on a leash around the neighborhood and had it in the basement. So I saw it as a kid. So all these stories, and my godfather was Bobby Bongiovanni. My uncle was Joe Schapani, who was with the Joe Adonis and Frank Costello, and it was always interesting. I always had this stuff in the back of my mind. And then when I got old enough, I wound up driving for my father until he died, and I drove for Joe Schapani and Bobby Bongiovanni, and they did many crazy things. They did, funny things, just crazy. Besides every day killing somebody, that's everybody talks about all the time. But there's 365 days a year, man. You won't kill everybody every day. You got to live a life. So I accumulated all these stories and remembered all the stuff I've seen over the 60 years already. So it was 55 years then, and we were sitting always telling stories to friends of mine, and they used to remember things. And they said, Frankie, what about this story, that story? So anyway, they told me to write it down. So I started writing everything down, and I put a book together. I learned how to, I went online, how to do it, how many pages, how to blah, 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 blah. And I put it together. And what happened was I self-published it because I didn't know nobody. So I self-published it. And what happens, Kensington Books found it, and they came in with a 4-book deal. They loved the book, so they came with a 4-book deal. But what happened was they had to change the name and take all the pictures out because they have a certain format. So I wasn't crazy about that. So I said, okay, but it is what it is. And they renamed it the Pleasant Street Boys, with no pictures in it, which did really well again. They both editions did good. So what happened was it did so well. They liked my style of writing, which is the way I speak. It's nothing cleaned up or nothing educational. I don't try to, know all big words and try to explain them. This is how I write. I write just the story.
How you speak, right?
That's it. People like it. They like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. We get a lot of stuff like that. People read books and goes, "Oh my God, there's spelling's wrong in there." Well, or there's run on. Or this is how I speak it. If you like the book, like the book. Don't worry about words misspelled. So anyway, they gave me a 4-book deal. So I wrote the Carmine Persico book. Then I wrote the Albert Anastasia book. Then I wrote the Hitman about Sonny DiBiase, the one that killed Joey Gallo. And I got a new book coming out in September called The Cigar. It's about Carmine Galante. In between that, that's by the publishers. In between that, I write more stuff, and they don't take everything you got. So I put books out. I put out Brooklyn Gangsters, 70 Square Miles of Blood and Balls.
Wow.
I put out Manhattan Gangsters, where it all started. They were the smaller books. I put out Dangerous Dames and Their Men, about the girls and the guys from the 20s up to now. And then I put out the part 2 of Line and Basement, which was Were We Really Cowboys? Life After President Street. I put that out. And then last couple of weeks ago, I put out a coffee table book called So You Think You're Crazy.
What's that about?
We have a story about for you. It's the whole historical scrapbook of the Gallows, how they started, through the wars, through all the stuff in the street, to dying, to the end, all the crew members who they were married to, all the guys all the celebrities who came down President Street. When I was in President Street, a lot of celebrities came down there. I met a lot. Lauren Bacall used to come down all the time. Shelley Winters used to come down. Telly Savalas came
Yeah,
down.
tell us about us.
Tanya Roberts came down. Oh my God, we had Casey and the Sunshine Boys playing in Miller Street for us because we should shut the block down. Hunts Hall came down all the time. I mean, I go on forever. I put in a book.
That's pretty
A
amazing.
lot of girls. Helen Reddy came down. She was a big pothead. Loved to smoke pot with Roy. Punchy, I think, was banging Lauren Bacall. It goes on and on and on and on. But anyway, so I put those books out in between, and the publishing company puts out the ones they want. They ask for what they want, and I put out what I want in between.
So the ones that the publishing company doesn't pick up, you
Right.
still have them if you wanted to sell them separately, or say, for example, anyone wants to
I
purchase them?
produce them all. I have them made and produced just like they do. But the difference, they don't carry it. I have to do the work myself. That's the only difference.
Now, the photos that you had in the book that they took out, are those photos that you compiled over the course of years that people gave to you for the books?
Yeah. Yes. There's some are personal, some are my own private collection in the book. Some are like Amando's nephew sent me some. A couple of kids of the gangsters sent pictures of their dads. I had some private pictures from years ago that we had, and then the other stuff was generic. That we did our research and we dug and we found more pictures.
That's excellent. Whatever happened to the lion in the basement?
The book or the lion?
No, the actual lion. Whatever happened to the lion in the basement?
The lion we only had for about, I would say, 6-8 months. That's all we had. I mean, everyone tells you a story, but we didn't have it very long because it got big fast. And Armando is a midget. It dwarfed. Yeah. It was very hard for him to walk him. So he got too big, and the same guy brought him down, picked him back up. And
I was hoping the tiger or the lion didn't eat Armando.
Yeah, he was cute. He was playful. He was scared people because we used to put him down the basement. And some guys owed money, and Larry and Joey used to love to scare the people with it. And he used to Armando used to go down the steps inside, and then at downtown in Red Hook, we used to have the streets that open up.
Yes, the basement doors open out of the street.
Send the coal down. You used to send the coal down there. Anyway, we used to keep it open with a netting there, and Armando used to go through the back and shake the chain. So when the people came, we get scared because the lion would move out. I think used to come up, but they didn't know the midget was downstairs pushing the chain, so the lion would get pissed off, and people would get all scared because they wanted to pay money, and they owed money, and they were jerking around. They used to do stuff like that, crazy stuff like that. Armando used to walk a shepherd around, big shepherd, bigger than him. He used to put the numbers in her collar. So when he used to go pick it up, so nobody would bother him, he used to put the numbers in the collar. They were funny times. We were funny. So when I wrote the book about back of the line in the basement, I didn't write a book about I killed 17,000 people, I raped everybody, and I made billions. That's what I wrote about. I wrote about the neighborhood. I wrote about who these guys were, the crew, about Joey and the Gallo family. I wrote about all the guys that were with him, how I got involved, how my parents got involved, and what happened to us on the whole trip from the beginning to the end. Me getting arrested, me selling drugs, me doing this, me doing that, and then how I wound up writing. So it's more. I did sell a few stories that I privy to, a couple murders that I knew about that. I said who was involved, but they were all dead. I waited till everybody died in the book before I put it out, except one guy, and I try not to say anything about him, and I leave him out of everything that wasn't public record, But I told a story about the whole crew and how interesting that was, instead of just always talking about one guy. Joey Gallo's great, Larry Gallo's great, but they didn't do everything by themselves. They had guys, running errands, picking up numbers, shooting people, going getting the scores, going hitting people. So you had a lot of people around them that were very, very, colorful, and that's why I wrote that book.
Frank, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Joey Gallo was part of the Colombo family. He broke away
Of the Pafacci family.
Facci, but then it became Colombo. Okay.
Yes, while he was in jail.
He started his own family actually, but he didn't have as many people in his group as the Colombos or the Pafaccis.
What happened was, since 1961, the Gallos were trying to pull away from Joe Pafacci, and that's where we went to the first war. They didn't like Joe Pafacci. They thought he was a miser, and he turned his back on them. They made some deals, and Joey was really nutty in a lot of ways. He believed he was going to be bossed. He believed that was his goal in life. He was a gangster, and I want to be a boss. So he had a crew of guys that broke away with him in the early 60s, and he went to war with Joe Pafacci. About 3 years, it went on and on and on. And what happened was Joey gets pinched. Gallo gets pinched. And he goes away. In between that, another year goes on, and they make peace. What happens? Joe Pafacci dies. The second guy in command dies. He was there a couple of months. He died. Magliotto dies. And then Carlo Gambino appoints Joe Colombo to be the boss. Right? He wasn't even deserved to be a boss because there was 17 guys above him already. But Joe, he was very instrumental, Carlo, and he made him boss. Joey in jail never accepted him as boss. They never accepted it. So what happened was Larry was in the street at the time. Larry Gallo was running the Gallo crew, but they ran independent. They were always messing with Joe Colombo. But they would throw money up to Joe because you have to throw envelopes, go up the line, and Larry was doing that. When Joey came out of jail, Larry died already. Larry died of cancer. So what happened was Joey came out, which now he's the boss of that crew. And he called Joe to come down Colombo. They got out, and they had words. And he told him, F you. I want $100,000 because you took this area over. And I'm supposed to have it. It was mine. And they got big words. And he told him, he cursed him and told him that was it. And Joey said, we're going to go to war. And what happened was everybody went to hit the mattresses. And for that whole year, they were planning, and they would have killed. So I said to Joey didn't do it for that. Who shot Joe Colombo? But they were trying to shoot Colombo every day. So I'm not saying they weren't trying to do it. They were trying to do it every day. Joe Gallo. We're trying to set him up and find him. But Colombo was very hard to hit. He always had 4 or 5 guys around him. He was moving around a lot. It was very hard to get him. So
I was there when he got shot. I didn't see it. But I was part of that American, that anti-American, whatever it was,
anti-American, definitionally.
What time period? I'm sorry. What time period? What time frame is this?
71.
Oh, okay.
70, 71. So what happens was we didn't go because Joey wouldn't let us go because Joey Gallo wouldn't let us go because he didn't believe in it, and he was out at going head to head with Joe Colombo. Joe Gallo believed he was his own family. He had about 35, 40 guys that were with Joey. Maybe at one time, maybe about 50 at the most we had, but I mean that's at the most. And then Joey got killed. Then Joey got shot. Joe Colombo got shot, and then we had a war for 2 more years, from 71 to 70, beginning of 73. More guys got shot. More guys got hurt. And that ended. And then that ended, and after Joey Gallo got killed, then they fought again. We fought again for a little while, and then it goes to a whole new book.
But back then, and correct me if I'm wrong, Frank. Back then, there was a so-called code of what they would do. They would just, if they were fighting families, like say, for instance, with Joey Gallo, Colombo, Gambino, they actually only killed the people that were involved. Nowadays, when you look at what goes on with all these different gangs, it's a free-for-all. They're shooting people in the street. They're bad shots. They're shooting innocent people, kids. They're killing families. I mean, back in the day, this is not something that actually went on within the 5 families.
No, I never heard that before. I was really, really close with. I bodyguard Albert for a little while, and you don't do that because you're a little, it's an honor to get that. You know what I mean? And so I'm privy to a lot of stuff I heard from Deforme and my uncle being Joe Schapani, and them. I never heard of anybody going after somebody's sister, mother, brothers, kids or something like that. That's all in the last 30 years, with the drugs and the informants and the feds being, being throwing all these, many years at these guys. Now they're desperate. They're killing everybody and sisters and brothers. So it just changed. A lot of the old guys died. A lot of the young guys don't have mentors. I came up with mentor. My Uncle Joe used to explain to us. He was with Lucky Luciano. He was with Joe Adonis. He was with Costello. I met Costello when in 1972.
Is that Frank Costello?
Yeah, I sat with luncheon with Costello in 1972. My father was supposed to go on a drive Joe Shep. My father wasn't around, so Joe Shep grabbed me. He goes, Frankie boy, we got to go to the city. And it was a hotel that Frank was staying at, and Joe got in the car, and I was just sitting in the car, and Joe said, "No, come inside." And I wound up sitting having lunch with Costello. I kept my mouth shut because they were talking union stuff, but I sat down and had lunch with Costello. So being around these guys, especially my Uncle Joe, Gentleman Joe, we used to call him. You hear the old stuff, you hear the honor, the murder, or the just the passion and the rules and regulations. So I was brought under that. I was brought up under that. I thought that was what we're supposed to be doing. So I believed that as a young guy coming up, even if I became a punk or I came to do stupid things and I got in trouble, and because I thought I was a gangster too, and you do stupid things, but you follow the road to do that. But I thought those things were off limits. These guys don't think that. They'll do anything. You do a couple lines of coke or they go chop somebody up. I don't think that's gangster. I think that's crazy. I mean? Somebody's sister, you go shoot somebody's brother, you go shoot the wrong guy by accident, or you go into a bagel store. I mean, you're supposed to know who we're killing. We know. When I was
that's why it's called organized crime. There should be a little organization there.
You make mistakes like that.
Yeah, but the problem they have now
or you're wild, and you don't know what you're doing, or you're too juiced up with this coke. You just go wild, and you go wild, and that's why these guys mess up. What happened is that the law got smart, the surveillance got even better, and the RICO Act, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And everybody, I was told by a guy a long time ago, I already walked away a while back, and a guy said to me, I was still friends with a couple of guys, and he says to me, "Don't worry about it." He goes, "I know what to do." I told him, "You're going to get in trouble. You get the F out of there. You're going to want to get in trouble." I know what to do. He says, "Be a big asshole. Do the worst you can do." He goes, "Just make sure you have enough shit over the guy above you." And that's the philosophy. I looked at my friend and I says, "That's your philosophy?" Yeah, because he was making money. He wasn't going to walk away, and he learned that's the trick. You'll be a rat at the end.
Okay, we got two sponsors, and then we have this thing with what makes you happy. So
what are you thankful for? Not what makes you happy. God only knows what you would say. What makes you happy, Vinny?
What makes you happy? All right, Anthony.
What are you thankful for?
All right, Patsy's Pizzeria. They have a place. They started on First Avenue, 117th Street. This is a franchise in Utopia Parkway in Whitestone. It's phenomenal food. It says it's a pizzeria, but it's really a restaurant. The food there is unbelievable. They have a thing called Philly cheesecake egg roll. It's a Philly cheesecake in an egg roll, like at a Chinese restaurant. Oh, it is awesome. It's a meal by itself. And then Borgatti's ravioli and egg noodles on 187th Street and Arthur Avenue. They have the best ravioli and egg noodles, fresh or frozen. They're phenomenal. They're well known. All the restaurants get their stuff. It's great. And then you have my books, The Mafia Double Cross. That's where the mafia and the wise guys and the FBI go to vacation in a hotel down in the Caribbean that's being taken over by terrorists. And I'm not going to tell you the rest of it. You're going to see who is the hero in the book. Investigations After Dark. I was told by my publisher, do something with a lot of sex in it. A lot of sex in this book. A lot of sex.
Do you have a stand-in for that?
Oh, that was matter of fact, that's that's Pam's legs on the front cover. And it's Detective's Kitchen. When I was on the job with the state as an investigator, I went to French cooking school as a hobby. And when my guys are on surveillances, I would cook for them. And then wrote PIs about my high-profile cases. I worked on cases with Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton. I worked on the Anthony Quinn divorce case, the soccer mom, the Brazilian mom, the Brazilian madam. I worked on a lot of madam cases. I don't know why. I guess I'm good for that. I worked on a couple high-profile cases, such as the Fatal Attraction case, and a few more. And then it tells you a little story about how I got in trouble. And my daughter took over my company, and she does well as assets, background checks, locate, landlord, tenant work, matrimonial background. She does a lot of background checks for women. Women going out with men, they don't trust them. I don't blame them. Some of these guys are assholes. And then follow us on Instagram, Law and Disorder, hosted by Vinnie Parker and Pamela Roth, every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. What's one thing you're thankful for, Frank?
I'm thankful I'm not in jail.
You get arrested, I'll get you
out of jail. And Pamela's thankful that she keeps people out of jail.
Well, I've been arrested 11 times. I beat them all. I had some very heavy cases I beat. I was just a lucky guy, you know. And then I was lucky to walk away because the upper echelons all became rats, and they started eating themselves. So I was lucky to walk away. So that's pretty much what is the most important thing, that I didn't have to rot away in jail. You know, everything else comes with it. After that, you make your own happiness with everything else. But
well, Frank, we want to thank you. You're an interesting guest. You're very colorful, right, Pam? What else?
Charming, absolutely charming. I can listen to you and talk to you for hours. All we need now is just the cappuccino, because I'm going over to the cafe later. I don't know if you're going, but
I'll stop over. That's why I got a book with me.
I'll be there in 20 minutes.
That's why if you read the book, you think you're talking to me. That's why the book sounds just like me talking to you.
Well, I got to pick up the book because you're going to sign it for me next time I get to the cafe. But I'll be at the cafe. I said I'll be at the cafe tonight by 9:20.
Write our books together.
But one of the things that I'm thankful for is I'm definitely thankful for my health. Thankful for my family. Just celebrated the beautiful Passover Seders with my family, doing all the cooking now because my mom's not here. So I'm carrying on all the traditions of keeping all the family together. Nice. So I'm very thankful for that. Thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for two of you gentlemen and all the other very important friends in my life. And of course, my laughter and my sense of humor that keeps me sane.
Well, that's questionable. Your Saturday
or my Saturday.
Yeah, questionable. But we love you anyway. As we say at Rigoletto, sempre noi, always with us. And I want to thank the viewers for watching, and the ones that comment. I like their comments. And till next week. Well, who are we going to have next week? We're going to have a good guest next week.
We don't know, but stay tuned. We will keep you on your toes. Tune in for next week. And of course, everyone have a wonderful week. Kisses to everybody and stay healthy.
Take care, guy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.